Have you ever heard someone say that people go missing all the time? Really? So I could go missing today. Are we all just a few missteps away from going missing? Yeah, I guess we are. Especially if we're wanting to go take a hike. Welcome to Marooned, Harrowing Tales of the Catastrophically Lost. I'm Jack Luna. This is Aaron Abel.
Amanda Eller was born in 1983 to parents Julia and John Eller. She has two siblings, Alicia Eller, her sister, and Chris Eller, her brother. Amanda Eller was 35 years old when she went missing in the Makawao Forest Reserve on Maui, Hawaii. She is a physical therapist and yoga instructor who lived and practiced in Haiku, Maui. Amanda is an avid outdoors person and is described by friends as an incredibly delightful, warm, loving, bright person. She's very spiritual. She was last seen on May 8, 2019. It was her day off that day, so she had no fixed schedule. Her boyfriend, Benjamin Conkle, whom she lived with at the time, last saw her at the home they shared at around 7 a.m. on May 8th. Between 10:06 and 10:11 a.m., surveillance footage obtained by the Maui Police Department captured Amanda shopping alone at the Haiku Market. She was dressed in a white tank top with blue yoga pants and a pair of black slippers.
At approximately 10:19 a.m. that day, she went to the Haiku post office to mail a Mother's Day package to her mother, Julia Eller. The package contained gifts and a letter in which Amanda wrote about how much she loved her family and how excited she was for the future. The package was scanned at 10:19 a.m., and surveillance footage from outside the post office showed Amanda's vehicle, a white Toyota RAV4 vehicle, driving off at 10:21 a.m. At approximately 12:12 p.m., an off-duty Maui Fire Department worker noticed Amanda's vehicle parked up at a gravel parking lot near an area known as Hunter's Trail at Makawao Forest. By 7 p.m., the vehicle was still parked in the same spot and was noticed by a park worker who unsuccessfully attempted to contact the vehicle's owner. Around 7:21 a.m. the following day, having not heard from her in 24 hours, Amanda's boyfriend, Ben Conkle, reported her missing to police.
When they asked where she might be, Ben listed several locations that Amanda enjoyed visiting, including the Makawao Forest Reserve. The couple lived together, and friends described them as loving and in a good place. Conkle recalled that they woke up together and he headed off to work around 7:30 a.m. He would later say at a press conference, "I was the last person to see her, and it was Wednesday morning before I went to work," adding, "She was still in the house then. She was super excited to come home and have dinner together, and it was her day off, so she didn't have any plans. She didn't know what she was going to do. She didn't reach out to tell me anything."
Yeah, and originally Amanda had plans to meet up with a friend, but the plan fell through when her friend canceled. Amanda's cell phone was looked at for any clues pertaining to her disappearance. Remember, her cell phone was in her vehicle, but they found nothing to suggest what her plans were that day. Conkle at first thought maybe his girlfriend here in Amanda was at a waterfall or the beach, as she loved to spend her free time out in nature. When she didn't come home that evening, he said he knew that something was wrong. They had never spent a night apart since moving in together.
At around 9:50 a.m. on May 9th, Amanda's white Toyota was discovered by a Maui police patrol car in the Kakapau Trail upper parking lot. Around 40 minutes later, boyfriend Ben Conkle, along with Maui Fire Department personnel, made their way to Hunter's Gate parking lot, where they found her keys stashed under the driver's seat tire of the vehicle. They opened the vehicle to look for any clues as to what may have happened, and inside found what she had left, not only her purse, cell phone, and wallet, but also a backpack and water bottle full of water. The black slippers she was seen wearing in footage obtained from the day before were also inside the vehicle. However, the running shoes she was known to wear, a pair of teal-colored Asics sneakers, were nowhere to be found.
It was normal for Amanda to leave her cell phone in her car when she went out running, and she was known to frequent the Kakapau Trail. Missing posters describing the circumstances of her disappearance, as well as her physical traits, 5'9", 145 pounds, athletic build, those are what were on the missing posters. They also had with them two colored photos, which were circulated island-wide, the investigators did. The Amanda Eller is Missing Facebook page was then created by those who were interested in this case. Obviously, her family and friends immediately worried about what had happened to her. And videos of the search were posted with permission for the press to use from this Facebook page. Her loved ones believed that Amanda had either had an accident or become injured while out on the trail, or was the victim of foul play.
Friends and family found it difficult to believe that Amanda had accidentally become lost. She often ran along the trail, and although the route itself was not treacherous, there were many paths that spiked off from the main trail that were more rugged, muddy, and complex. This is a more than 2,000-acre reserve, which is surrounded by dense forest. One could, if trying a new trail, get into some trouble. Amanda's mother, Julie, who had flown home to Hawaii from a vacation to take part in the searches, described the terrain as muddy. There are a lot of huge trees down, the terrain is a bit rugged in places, and that was just to scratch the surface. I spent time calling her and looking where I could under any areas where I could get to that I thought might present a situation where she could have slipped off the ledge.
The community, they came together. Volunteers began searching the forest. Maui Search and Rescue launched their own search, utilizing dogs, helicopters, drones, and infrared, but failed to locate Amanda. Over $75,000 was raised for search resources. Amanda's boyfriend, Ben, said he was so close to his girlfriend and Amanda that he could feel that she was alive, and that he, quote, was continually pulled in a certain direction while searching for her. A friend of Amanda's, Lucia Mea, said this to the media, quote, "I was just so shocked when I saw the news. It was through an email that someone told me that she was missing, and I know Amanda to be an incredibly strong, physically strong, as well as emotionally, mentally strong person. I know that she hikes all the time. She's a water person. She goes on adventures. So the idea that she somehow went missing while on a hike or a run in the Makawao Forest is just hard to believe still." She added, "If she did somehow fall and is injured, I just have to believe that she's somehow strong enough physically and mentally that she's able to survive and hold out until the rescuers find her. That's how I'm staying positive." End quote.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on here where anyone who knows Amanda and is asked, what do you think's going on here? They all seem to agree that she just wouldn't get lost.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, something that we'll probably mention a little bit later, but something that's going on now in the minds of those in the area and those who do hike around this reserve is that it's not that big of a place in comparison-wise to some of the stories that we've covered in the past, like forest all along the Appalachian Trail. If someone gets lost along the Appalachian Trail, who knows where they are? But here it's Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii itself is it's an island, obviously, and there's only so many places where you could be. And in this situation, she's in this reserve, which is kind of small in comparison to other nature reserves out there in the world. They're like, we're going to find her very quickly here. There's not many places she can be.
On May 11th, 2019, Amanda's family announced a $10,000 award for her safe return. They appealed to the public for anyone who was in the Makawao Forest between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. on the day Amanda went missing to come forward. Family and volunteers continued to look for her using funds raised by the community. By the following day, media outlets reported that the search was being scaled back. After 5 days, there were no leads or clues uncovered. After 72 hours, the official search was called off, and there was still no sign of Amanda.
On May 13th, 5 days since Amanda had gone missing, the Facebook group following her disappearance posted a status update explaining that the fire department had officially called off their search for Amanda as of 12 p.m. that day. They wrote, "They did a terrific job while we had them. 72 hours is a typical search limit here, apparently. They handled the physical forest search portion only. The police are still investigating all other aspects. We, however, have just begun the forest search. Volunteers, please search the forest every day until we find her."
Well, that's good news. So maybe the official search is over, but there are still people looking.
Yes.
Many following the case accused Amanda's boyfriend of murdering her, although he was never a suspect and had always cooperated with police. And this is not surprising, is it, Jack? Because every time there's suspicion of foul play, whoever the spouse is, whoever the partner is, they're looked at first.
Every time.
Now, some were also suspicious of Amanda's best friend, who was very involved with the search and getting the word out to the media, implying she had something to do with the disappearance despite voluntary lie detector tests saying otherwise. Neither her boyfriend nor her family members believed she was dead, and stated they had no reason to believe that she was anywhere other than the forest where her vehicle was found. Of her character, they said, Amanda Eller is out there. It has only been 4 days. She can live for weeks without food. She is mentally and physically strong. Her healthy, physical, spiritual, and emotional lifestyle has prepared her for this moment. If she is injured out there, she is waiting for us.
Yeah, in case the audience missed she's a yogi and also a physical therapist. So that's when they're talking about her spiritual side, her physical side. This is her focus of her life, is being mentally strong, physically strong. On May 14th, 2019, 5 days after it was mailed, the Ellers family pet sitter received the Mother's Day package that had been sent by Amanda the day she gone missing. On May the 15th, the next day, the Facebook page published a dedicated number for intuitive psychics, others in that regard post. So they're looking for psychics now to help out, Aaron.
Oh, boy.
It's kind of desperate. But,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in that situation and it's your child or your loved one, I mean, you try everything.
What this speaks to, Luna, is that while they have a lot of confidence in Amanda, her lifestyle, the way she takes care of herself, her background, what her skills are, well, there comes a point where you really start to wonder, is she really okay? And
Mm-hmm.
so this is desperation. I mean, what's a psychic going to do? I know there are people out there that believe in them. I'm not one of those people.
Right. You know, it's funny because I am. Only because I had a good friend of mine who claimed to be psychic, gave me a psychic reading one time. She was supposedly like well sought after. She has since passed away. And she passed away 2 months after I did the reading with her, actually. And a lot of things that she said to me were very dead on.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying I'm a believer in all psychics, but I do believe there's some people who have a really good intuitive sense of what other people are going through and what could possibly be going on as well. I don't know what it
Fair
is, but
enough. Yeah.
some of the stuff that I was told is like, where the hell did you get that from? Do I need to hire the same private investigators you got on me to figure out how the hell you did that to me? Um, but anyways, this is a very spiritual place, Hawaii. Being that close to the water and such beautiful forests and the way that a lot of the people are, this is not unusual for them to go this woo woo, go to this area of things. And Amanda herself would have been one of the ones who would tell you, hey, talk to a psychic. Maybe they can find, have some idea
Hmm.
where I am. So although there were rumors that Amanda's phone had been wiped, this was not true. She had privacy settings on her cell phone, so location information was not readily available. She had also left her cell phone in her vehicle, so they were unable to use it to find her. Amanda's loved ones said they felt she was alive and that she was still out there in the forest. 17 days after her disappearance, they would be proven right, and the mystery of what happened to Amanda would be revealed.
May 25th. Amanda is found between two waterfalls in a ravine. She had been spotted by search team captains Chris and Javier while they were out in a helicopter searching the general area. Now, Javier and Amanda knew each other and were friends. The helicopter was a private aircraft paid for using the donations of those following the case. Members of the Facebook group, as well as those following the updates, had raised tens of thousands of dollars, between $50,000 and $70,000. Amanda looked up and saw them and began waving them down for help. She visibly broke down, crying with relief, and then was airlifted to safety after a quick call with her parents. She had visible injuries to her feet and ankles and was 20 pounds lighter, but was otherwise stable. She said, I looked back as we were flying away, and that area where I was at the top of the waterfall disappeared so quickly, and you couldn't make out heads or tails where I was. It was just a needle in a haystack situation of them finding me. It was truly a miracle.
And I'll say here, Aaron, that when they're looking for her with this helicopter, they're actually not looking for her. Of course, they see her. They're going to be excited about that. But what they're looking for is different areas within the reserve that where they can start a search party location to start from. And they see this clearing up ahead in the bush, and they fly over it to see if that's a good location. And there she is, waving at them. She's in
Yeah,
this little pocket, this open pocket.
it really is a needle in a haystack. I
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into the reasons why they weren't able to see her beforehand. I will tell you that, she's quite injured, which to all of those naysayers to her story, and we'll get into that as well, she couldn't walk around very well because of this. She was put in a wheelchair once they got out of the helicopter, and she needed her legs treated. She was found to have cellulitis. There were trauma wounds to her shins, soft tissue swelling on both ankles. She had severe sunburn, multiple abrasions on her body, and a fracture to the proximal tibia on her left knee. She had a broken lower leg and meniscus tear in her knee, as well as a leg infection. Amanda explained that she sustained the leg injury on day 4 of being lost when she held onto some plants to make her way down a cliffside, but the roots ripped from the ground and she fell 20 feet, injuring her leg and her feet. Her family reported that a drug test as part of regular blood work came back negative. And this is important because a lot of people are saying she went out there on some weird peyote journey, like she took some acid or something, or some peyote or whatever it is. And that's how she became so disoriented and lost. But the drug test came back negative.
Yeah, and I get that. I get why they would think that that's what happened. Because to a person, everyone's like, oh, she doesn't get lost.
Right.
So maybe she was on drugs and then became lost.
Right. Like she has her water bottle, she has her cell phone, and she's on this day. She's like, you know what? I also have 3 tabs of acid. How about I leave everything here and see where the universe takes me? And it takes her on a 17-day journey. But that, they say, is not the case because of the drug test coming back negative. But hold on here. This is me in the edit. Now I realize after further research and digging into my own brain as to how I know how long some psychedelics last in your system, they're usually gone within 48 hours. She was gone for almost 3 weeks by the time that they found the time to get that drug test done. So if she was on some type of psychedelic, it was out of her system. Since her case had amassed a large following, Amanda Eller was urged to put out a statement. On May 25th, a video of Sarah laying in her hospital bed with her boyfriend by her side was posted to the account.
Yeah, and here's the controversy.
Yeah.
She's jumping right into it here. This video garnered mixed reactions. I mean, some were confused at the spiritual tone of the video and a lack of details about how she got lost in the first place and how she managed to survive for over 2 weeks with no supplies. Here's what Amanda said in the video. So I think the biggest thing is that the last 17 days of my life have been the toughest of my life. And it's been a really significant spiritual journey that I was guided on. And there were times of total fear and loss and wanting to give up. And it did come down to life and death, and I had to choose. I chose life. I wasn't going to take the easy way out, even though that meant more suffering and pain for myself. But this is just a tiny little blip of my story in my life, and it serves a much, much bigger purpose. So she went on to thank the community for coming together to save one person lost in the forest and praised community, love, and appreciation for life.
Yeah. So, Aaron, there in that statement that she made, a lot of people were like, wait a minute. So she sees this as a journey that she was guided on? Does that mean she was guided off the trail by the universe in her mind and she became lost almost intentionally? Is that what she's saying? So, and when she says, I chose life, is that saying that she was kind of hiding in the jungle, dealing with whatever she was dealing with mentally, spiritually, and when she thought she found what she found, she finally came to a spot where she could be spotted? That's what people are saying and wondering, and you can't blame them, Aaron. I think that both you and I have struggled with this in this story ourselves in trying to dissect it.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about here.
There is. Although relieved that Amanda was found alive, some following the case began to doubt her story, wondering how she got lost in the first place, why she chose to leave her cell phone behind, and why she neglected to take food or water. Most of all, people were confused as to why she didn't have more of a story to tell, which is a good point, Aaron. You think she would be talking about like day-to-day stuff. What was going on? Did were you able to light a fire, or did you make a shelter? Any of that? But no, she's only really focused on the spiritual journey aspect, and that she's happy to have had the experience in almost, she's saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people began to converse in comment sections under video statements and Facebook posts, speculating if she was on drugs on the day she went missing, or if she was seeking some kind of spiritual enlightenment and deliberately got lost.
Many also questioned why she did not simply follow a stream, with others arguing that the terrain is tricky without a map or GPS, adding that people often get lost hiking and are not found too far from trails. Amanda apologized for not speaking on the facts of her survival or details of her survival, and through newspaper articles and interviews, the details did come out. She said that while lost, she drank water from streams and ate plants and berries that she knew were safe, using knowledge from a book she owned at home. Her mother would later tell the Honolulu Star-Advertiser that Amanda ate strawberry guava fruit she found along the way, foraging for the things she knew were safe to eat. She attempted to catch crawfish but wasn't able to, and became so desperate that she even began to eat moths.
Oh, God. Can you imagine eating a moth? Like, no wonder she didn't want to talk about it. Ow. I wouldn't want. We get some big hairy moths out here, and they look pretty dry to eat. I mean, I know when I slap them with my hand, they turn into dust. She's eating moths.
Oh my goodness. You're out there killing moths?
Yeah.
Oh man. We're going to lose some of our audience, Luna. You do know that there's a Luna moth, and it's just an absolutely gorgeous insect.
I do. It actually is out here in Manitoba, the Luna moth. It doesn't live long because it doesn't have a mouth. Luna moths don't even have a mouth.
How are they supposed to drink or smoke, man?
I figured it out.
Isn't that the irony?
Yeah.
It's like, you'd think they'd live a lot longer, but no.
I almost got a tattoo of a Luna moth because, I'm so thankful for living where I do in Manitoba. I grew up in a city in Ontario, and it's so nice out here and open, and it's provided me with a lot of opportunities and a lot of time to think and grow. So I almost got the Luna moth tattoo. Also because I had a really bad gambling addiction for a while, and my name was Moth Pockets, like the hole is burning a hole in my moth pocket. So I was going to do all that, but I don't know. I'm not quite there yet. Maybe once, maybe I should go for a walk in the woods and figure it all out and come out with one of those tattoos on me after I eat a few of them.
So it's either going to be a moth or a mosquito tattoo.
Yeah, I'm going to eat a lot of mosquitoes. Oh boy! In some countries, they make mosquito patties. You know that they collect a bunch of mosquitoes, turn them into like a hamburger patty, and just go to town.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right to me. But I will say this: I think there's a third option for your tattoo. Yeah. Just having recorded with you for 2 years, I feel like a train is appropriate.
A train is quite appropriate.
Yeah.
I can't get away from it.
The Luna Express, man.
Yes. Amanda, she said she stayed close to streams, as she needed it for access to water. I got to say that she also really knew what she could eat and could not eat, as you mentioned, reiterate there. She was able to survive. And as she walked, dead ferns and brush cut at her ankles as she made her way through the forest on intuition alone. Although initially wanting to give up, she found a second wind of energy to march on, encouraged by a voice that said, "If you want to live, keep going." She decided she needed to get to a place where a passing helicopter could see her. This after 17 days. That voice should have showed up a lot sooner, but...
I wonder if this voice sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you want to live, come with me.
So in a later interview with NBC News, Amanda said that while she waited for rescue and attempted to survive, she would think about what lesson the universe was trying to teach her in all this, as well as searching for significance in the small details. Amanda assigned meaning to things like numerology. On the 14th day in, she believed she would be rescued because the number was significant to her. However, helicopters flew over her on the 14th day, but never saw her, and she began to feel like, oh, maybe my journey here is to die. She would wake up cold each morning and would have to bathe her feet and ankles, which were severely scuffed up. If you see photos of this later, the whole top part of her skin on the top of her foot and lower ankle, it's really messed up. It looks like road rash. She was dipping her feet and her ankles in water in order to become mobile and move around at all each morning.
Amanda said that on the day she went into the Makawao Forest, she intended to go on a 3-mile run, and that's why she left all her belongings in the car. She didn't want those with her. They would just, bog her down. She said that there were a lot of fallen trees, and what was supposed to be a run turned into a hike. Around 1.5 miles into that hike, she sat down on a fallen tree to meditate. In a video, she said, "I closed my eyes. I had my eyes closed. I had my eyes open. I'm just listening to nature and just listening and observing what was happening around me. There were not any drugs taken at all. I was not under the influence of anything, just complete sobriety and clarity. And after meditating, I tried to return to my car, and I couldn't find that path that led me to that spot. I spent a couple of hours within that same part of the forest trying to find my way back to my car. After a couple of hours, I got disorientated and frustrated and picked a direction to go that was a different direction that I tried and thought that was the direction to my car. Clearly, it was the wrong way, and I continued to go that way. Had I had my cell phone with me, that would not be the case. That was my irresponsibility, and I apologize. I didn't intend to go on some spiritual journey. It was just a hike in the woods. I had every intention to make it back to my car.
Very interesting, Aaron.
That right there is she's trying to talk to those people who are doubting her story, I imagine.
You got it. And for me, the thing that stood out was closing your eyes, right? You're a little bit lost, and now you're closing your eyes, and everything's swirling around you in your mind. And you might as well just, that game where they put a blindfold on you and spin you around on a broomstick and tell you to run, see if you can find the finish line. She just kind of did that to herself. So Amanda added that it was never her intention to put anyone in harm's way or create a rescue effort for herself. She apologized for not having a cell phone with her that day and hoped others could learn from her ordeal. So yeah, remember, lots of resources were used up on this, and that's what she's worried about now. She feels bad about that. And in her responding to these people, like you just mentioned that she was in your quote there from her, a lot of people are thinking she did this to try to write a book. She did. And in fact, she does end up writing a book later, which doesn't help. She would later admit that she purposely left her cell phone because she wanted to be away from EMF and cell phones and ground herself to nature. Amanda said, "Cell phones are great. People, everyone knows that. I've been strongly against certain systems for a long time, and that was ignorant. So what I should say is I should have had a cell phone with me. There's a GPS locator on there. There's a reason why we carry them all the time these days. So if you go for a hike by yourself, it's no big deal. Just take a cell phone, take some water. I thought I was going for a short little jog and back to my car. But what I would say is be over-prepared."
She's not wrong. I mean, that's a common theme for our show here is, you can say, I'm just going to go down this way for a little bit and I'll be back. But yeah, you can get lost easily.
Yeah, I mean, your worries about EMF and, and all that kind of go out the window when you're falling down a ravine and lost for 17 days for sure. She learned a hard lesson here. But I mean, Aaron, I kind of felt it in your tone when you said that she left it behind in her car so she wouldn't be weighed down by it. I know that you like to hike and run. I know you went on a very long hike with your son in Germany at one point and didn't even bring the right shoes, right? Remember when you did that?
Yeah, I'm telling you,
it happens.
It's weird. I mean, some people will say, look, if I'm stepping into a forest, I'm doing this or that, I'm going to be prepared. And I'm one of those people that would say, oh yeah, you definitely need to be. And look, I did that. I literally went, because it's almost like a brain fart, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just thinking, oh, it's going to be a short walk. I'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends up being this really long walk, really long hike. And if you're not wearing the right shoes, yeah, you can run into problems. But even more so, you get lost and you don't have your water with you. It's just, it really shows you how we're not always at our best.
No.
And for people to be going after her because they're saying, oh, you should have known this, should have known that. Are you perfect?
Right.
And maybe you're always getting it right. But I think everybody makes mistakes. So you leave the house without your wallet. I've done that before.
Yep.
So however you look at this, you can't just say she planned this just because you're saying she didn't have her cell phone, she didn't have her water. I mean, it's a lot to put on one person when we each make mistakes almost every day, I think.
Look at our very first episode of Marooned and Geraldine Largay, where she had to go pee and she walked out there. So she didn't think as she set off on that leg of that hike that day that she would go that far off the trail at some point. It's just something that happens. In the intro there, I talked about how it just takes a few missteps to go missing, especially if you're going to go take a hike. And this is what happens. In her case, she went and she meditated. Well, actually, it looked like she got lost there beforehand. I still have a lot of questions about this Amanda Eller case. I know you do as well. A lot of people do. But I mean, you just don't know what's going to befall you along the way. Maybe a bear comes out of the woods and sends you running off into the brush. You just take as many things with you that can help you. A whistle, even. Christ, a knife would be nice too.
Well, Amanda did try to answer these questions. They asked her, how could you have gotten lost? And she said she lost her bearings as the forest looked the same no matter which way she turned her head.
Yeah.
And that's real. She said she tried following different paths, thinking they were walking paths or bike paths, when they were likely boar paths. And from there, she got disorientated. When night fell after each day of trying to get out, she could only accept that she'd have to spend another night alone and cold. Now, Amanda saw being lost as a journey and very spiritual, saying that she didn't feel fear and that it was more of an opportunity to overcome fear of everything, an opportunity to be stripped of all the comforts of this modern world and see what was left. She admitted that she had nothing left. She was extremely uncomfortable and could barely move and wondered what else was left to take. She often looked at the sky and asked for mercy. So I think what she's saying here is that when it's her that's lost out there and she's at the mercy of the forest and she has no supplies, she's her mind's going to that spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone will do that. Some people will just freak out and other people will just keep trying. But this is her response and everybody's different.
Yes, but her having that response to the everyday person, reading it from the comfort of their home on their laptop, the news of this, they're like, what? You're turning that, you turned it into a spiritual journey? It's like you accepted the fact you were lost. It's like you became absorbed intentionally at some point. And you can't blame them for feeling that way. I want to believe that she was making the best of a difficult situation. And that's why you're hearing all of this positivity coming through in the way that she's explaining how she felt in those moments. That very well could be. She seems like that type of a person. But for a lot of people, they're like, she went out there intentionally to have this spiritual journey and it got out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda explained that she chose life and with every step saw the faces of her family and boyfriend. She then walked halfway down the waterfall that she came across and slept in some grass that first night. She described it as a dark moment. Yeah, literally, it's getting dark out. Now you got to sleep on the freaking ground of a forest. But it was a difficult choice just to give up, too. And she had a moment where she just chose not to be a victim here. She saw many boar dens along the way the next morning and then ended up sleeping in them in the days going forward. She avoided the boar dens that she felt she was not guided to. She said she felt guided along the way and slept wherever she was guided, be it boar dens, grass, or mud. And you could feel the eyes rolling at people who are hearing her talk this way about it. But again, Aaron, you have to be there and you have to understand, get in the shoes of a person who likes to think this way. I like her attitude. And again, I hope that it's just as she said it was and it wasn't all contrived for attention. One night, she said she experienced a flash flood and lay curled up on top of jagged rocks. Amanda lost her shoes in the flood and was forced to walk barefoot from that point onwards. Sounding almost giddy, she later told reporters, quote, "It was at that moment of complete and utter breaking down of a human being that I reached a state of unconditional love." End quote. Her family later said in a statement, "While Amanda and Ben speak in a spiritual tongue that may be different from others, she stated a number of times in the press conference that she was always trying to get out of the forest."
Yeah, there does seem to be some confusion, right? Is she on a spiritual journey or what's happening there?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do struggle with that whole spiritual journey thing. They're not sure what she's going on about because it should be, oh my goodness, I'm alive, I made it out.
Right,
You know?
right. And I like to think, I like to hope that this is very genuine coming from her. And you and I spoke about what our feelings were based on just looking at her as we watch these videos. And the video, these are in the show notes, so you can see for yourself and make your own decision. Judge her as you may. I think you and I both came away with the same feeling that I think she's being genuine. I think that she went through something here and she's choosing to be positive about it. I might be speaking for myself there, and I'll let you say.
Yeah, I it's not really my place, I feel, to call into question what she did here because number one, no one else was hurt. I realized a lot of money and time and resources were spent looking for her. So I get the urge to try and figure out whether all this was real. But, in my life, I've met multiple people who could very well be just like Amanda and maybe have the same response to being lost out in a forest.
Right.
I wouldn't go that way. I would come back and talk about the things that I chose not to eat because they were hairy or dusty looking or
Yeah.
had too many legs or eyes or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but, everyone's different. And if there's one thing that's true about me is I appreciate the diversity. And so even though I can't relate at all to what Amanda's talking about here, to me, it's very possible. I'm not going to sign off on it as I would bet the farm on what she's saying is true, but I would say that I lean towards it being true because this sounds somewhat realistic to me. I mean, you come back from this and you're a spiritual person, people have questions and you're not giving them the answers or you're not responding to them
Yeah.
in the way that they want you to talk to them. So that's why all these questions come up.
Yes. And I think that as time went on, she recognized that she needed to make it more black and white for everybody. And then she did that. And that led them to think, oh, now she's just telling us what we want to hear. The reason I ask you that question is because I kind of have an idea after knowing you for this long now and working with you is, and you and I are friends. And I got to tell you, I'm more closer to what Amanda is like. If I went through something like that, I think that I come out of it talking about, whoa, I was close to death there. God, I recognize so many things about myself. I learned a lot about myself. I feel like I might have talked about that, and that would have left people feeling the same way about me. Whoa, does this guy enjoy being lost? Because that's what they're saying about her. So it depends on who you are.
6 months after she was rescued, Amanda left Maui and stayed with her family in Maryland before traveling to India for several months in an attempt to get help to process the trauma of her ordeal. She returned to the U.S. before the COVID pandemic and went traveling within the country before moving back to Maui. She described the next 2 years as a very dark time and eventually moved away from Maui once again to relocate to Minneapolis. Amanda continues to provide holistic physical therapy to clients. She has returned to the trail several times as a form of exposure therapy, but was sure to bring supplies and cell phone and did not veer off track. Amanda has a Facebook page where we were able to get much of the information, and it also appears these days that she is working on a book about the spiritual side of her experience following her rescue and recovery.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like that. But no matter which way it went, I think the book needs to be written. We like to hear it no matter what. So I haven't read that book. I think I plan to. But again, it's left a lot of people thinking this was done as a publicity stunt for a future book. We've said it. I've said it. My feel off of her is that she was being genuine. I think a lot of people would disagree.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are skeptical about people who come back with stories that they're not expecting. It doesn't fit the typical narrative of when someone gets lost in the forest.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, people are just very skeptical about that. And they're like, yeah, nice story. That doesn't make sense.
And justifiably so. I mean, some people are really mean about it, as is the way of the world these days, too. Keyboard warriors, they call them. Like, here's a Reddit comment I came across from a local of the area. Quote, "My 10-year-old son would have been home by dinner, blindfolded." I'll bleep. Amanda Eller and all of her up hippie friends. It's bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. The whole thing was planned, and she defrauded the residents of Maui, her GoFundMe, and anyone who cared about her at all. And another local chimed in, Aaron, on Reddit. "The only way you were stranded in a smallest jungle for 17 days and seemingly are fine afterwards, physically, mentally, is if you planned it." And to that, Aaron, I'll say she wasn't great physically. She was having massive trouble walking. You'll see the injuries later. But I guess the sense by many is that Amanda was hiding rather than lost, either to gain money, attention, or just to have a personal journey, or all of that.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that don't like her story and they think she's a liar.
They do.
That's the best way to put it. But she was pretty injured. Her face looked like it had been through some stuff too by the time they found her.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we should question things, I guess, when so many resources are spent, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I worry that we go after people who are not deserving of that kind of attention.
Yeah.
And certainly in this case, Amanda Eller may have just gone missing.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll find out more about this. Maybe in her book, she'll actually detail some things for people.
Yeah.
But till then, I think we're just going to continue to have people who think she's full of it and planned a book all along.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Aaron, we're out here in the Hawaiian jungle. It's a beautiful place. I'm going to head off here for a minute and just go think for a bit. I'm just going to go think. If you don't hear from me, don't worry. I'm just figuring a few things out.
Well, I'm not going to close my eyes at all. They're staying wide open.
Give me that whistle and that bottle of water, actually.
No, you should have brought your own whistle, Luna.
Oh, well, if you're sleeping when I get back, good night, Aaron.
Good night, Jack.